Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm here to give my review of Star Wars The Last Jedi. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Opening night, since they released the ones in the 90s, huge fan of them. Big fan. Loved it all. What I didn't love is Star Wars The Last Jedi. Okay. There's a lot of spoilers in this. Whole bunch. The whole thing is just one big spoiler. Okay, so if you haven't seen it yet, or if you don't want it spoiled, or if there's no detail that you don't want to know, turn off now. Okay, I'll give you a little second to get off of the video. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, leave a comment. Let's have a dialogue about this. Okay. I took some notes. As a movie itself, as a film, it was good. Okay, it was a good action flick. There was good scenage. The cinematography was incredible. The graphics were just amazing. It was visually incredible. Of course, the music was great. Of course, the effects were great. But it was not a Star Wars movie, in my opinion. It changed a bunch of character arcs. The characters just weren't themselves as they were in previous movies. The plot was choppy as far as Star Wars goes. It was way too jokey, in my opinion. Far too jokey. I think the prequels were bad because they were too serious. They weren't jokey enough. They didn't have the life the originals did. But I feel like this is way too jokey, way too silly. The Force Awakens hit a little bit on it. It was good. There was a good balance of jokey and serious. I think this movie pounded just joke after stupid joke, and like the stupid milk thing, and the porgs were funny. They're cute, but like there was too much, like a slamming on the side of the window at the one scene. And I think the director, Rian Johnson, I think he made his movie with the Star Wars aesthetic to it. I don't think he made a Star Wars movie. I think he made a movie of what he wanted, and then just put the Star Wars look onto it. I don't think that he made a Star Wars movie. That's what I'm saying. I think that he made an action flick. It was a good action flick. The movie was full of a lot of good scenes, but not necessarily good content. But it was in Star Wars. And here are some of the reasons why. And I'll break it down. Is the Resistance evading the first thing? I get the premise. The Resistance is a small force. The First Order is huge. It's a kind of like David and Goliath story. They're escaping him, but the whole movie based around their depleting fleet escaping them. It's a weak story point, because why didn't the First Order like cut them off at the pass with all their ships? Why didn't they just advance on them? Why did the big hopes of Rey and Luke, that whole dynamic there? Like, Rey went to find Luke, good. Everyone was in anticipation that Luke was going to train Rey and all this stuff. And I agree with Mark Hamill, it was not Luke Skywalker, because from the very first reaction, I've heard mixed reaction to this whole thing. She hands him the lightsaber, he takes the lightsaber and throws it over his back. And like, it was another one of those jokey moments, and I get why he did it. I don't want nothing to do with this. But it was completely not who Luke Skywalker is. Luke Skywalker started in A New Hope as that whiny farm boy, and by Empire Strikes Back, he was kind of like, getting used to his own skin. By Return of the Jedi, he was, confident and real stoic, and he was a Jedi master, and this is how he acted. He was there. And we can only assume that as time progressed, between The Force Awakens and we're seeing him now in The Last Jedi, that he's become even more stoic because of the happenings at the new Jedi Temple or whatever. And like, you thought that he'd be more of a reserved, like a stone hardened man or whatnot. Not like this goofy guy who's just like, well, I've given up on everything now, and I'm just gonna like joyfully throw my he makes mention that he cut himself off from the Force, or Rey notices that he wasn't in the Force thing, so he separates himself from the Force, and I get that. So that kind of reacts of like why he didn't sense her coming. And like, he didn't train her like I was hoping. And like, when we go back to Return of the Jedi, or Empire Strikes Back, and Luke had all this training, and he went through all this and that and this and that, and like, by the end of the thing, he can barely lift a big boulder, let alone he can't get the X-Wing out of the swamp and all this. And Rey seems to get like a couple days of training, from having no background, which we'll get to later, and like all of a sudden she can like move mountains with rocks and like is now an incredible lightsaber fighter. Incredible. Like just like goes up against all the Imperial guards all at once with Kylo Ren. Like, okay, I can do all these things now. And I didn't like how Luke called it a laser sword too. Anybody catch that? He doesn't call it a lightsaber. He says, "You think I could just pick up a laser sword and get back to it?" Like, come on, what? Whoever calls it a laser sword? That was silly. Leia's powers, Superman Leia, whatever people are calling it. This is ridiculous. This is crazy. We know it's canon that Leia is Luke sensitive. We know that. We know that from the original movies. We know that from the novels and books and this and that and everything. We know Leia is Force sensitive. No complaints there. We all know that. But I think it's kind of assumed that it was just like a mental connection kind of thing. The fact that she is pulled out into space, which kills people, right? And she's there for a span of time. And then she, like, subconsciously just pulls herself to the ship, flies, like, ridiculously. Like, they didn't even, like, transition it into being some kind of way of, like, a nifty thing. Oh, my God, she has more power than we thought. It was like the Mary Poppins, y'all, like, to the ship. And we're set there, okay, and then she was still in a coma, so it wasn't like she was consciously making this. Like, the Force pulled her to it. But it wasn't the Force pull. It's like, you could, I don't know, that was, no one, even if they like the movie, will say that was a good thing. No one got chills. It was a cringe moment. It was cringy. It sucks that there was no dramatic point of her in the movie when we go into episode 9. When I hope they don't like CG her the whole time, but she won't be there because she's dead. So like I'm afraid that she didn't get the full appreciation that should have in this movie, transitioning into the next one, or whatever they're going to do with her character. So I don't have a lot to put into that, but that Super Leia scene was ridiculous, and I wish that Carrie Fisher had gotten more of a, I don't know, either they should have just let it go, let that been the death in the movie, or I don't know, done something with it. I don't know. I should probably come up with something for that. Okay, huge thing, another huge thing, and I know a lot of people are poking at it, is Snoke. Like, we don't care about Snoke now. It was like one of the biggest things they built up from The Force Awakens. Huge thing. This is, who is Snoke? Where does he come from? What can he do? How did he come to power? He's from the Uncharted zones. Like, what does that mean? What's he going to do? What's his potential? Is he bigger than Palpatine? What's he capable of doing? Well, what was it? He's dead. They killed him. His backstory has no relevance now. No relevance. Who cares? If it turns out in movie 9 that they expose all these things, he can't do anything. He's dead. So the extent to what he is capable of has ended. I don't know if there's a dark side ghost or whatever comes back, but still, they can only meddle so much in the immortal realm. Like, there's this and that to it. So I think that it was poorly executed. I know that it was Rian Johnson's. He wanted to get some of J.J. Abrams' characters out of there. Again, he wanted to make his own movie by taking away characters that J.J. Abrams set up. And I mean, as a director, that is your prerogative and all that, but like, he just killed off, and we'll get to other people, he killed off characters that he didn't want to deal with. And I feel like that's something that was like huge. That and Rey's parents were the two things that I think a lot of people are speculating on. It was like the most people vlogged about. Most people wrote articles about who's Snoke, who's Rey's parents. These are the two huge characters that we thought were going to be the pivotal stone in the franchise, and now both those things, which we'll get to her parents in a little bit, both those things just leave us hanging. They're out of it. They're dead. His death was kind of cool, but at the same time too, if he was so powerful, he was able to link their minds across the entire galaxy and do this and that and that. Why wasn't he able to anticipate that happening? Or what is this stupid guards doing this whole time? Like, he's got all these guards that are just standing there like, that lightsaber might be moving a little bit. Like, were they not watching the other two people in the room? Like, it was a lot. I had a problem with a lot of the story points because they all had kind of one of those things where just like, it was either the bad guy iconically, or I guess iconically saying, like they do in every James Bond movie, the bad guy saying, this is exactly what my plan's going to be. and then he's foiled before it happens because he just took the time to describe it. It was every scene with the bad guys. I'm going to do this and this. The whole Snoke scene was an awesome scene, but it was horrible in the dynamic of Star Wars. Like it mimicked the Emperor scene when he's in there and Luke has to, you kill your father, I'm not going to kill him, and he gets tortured with all that stuff. And mimic that and look outside and see your friends getting killed in space. But we had no emotion to it. We had no connection to it. We thought that it was Rey and Kylo as an emotional connection of why they were touching his space. But Snoke's like, no, I did that. You guys don't really have that connection. It was me doing that. Cool. What else are you capable of? Oh, he's dead. Oh, you killed his guards like that because Rey is now a master swordsman. When she was living on a planet, and then found out that she's a nobody, and then she's a master swordsman with a lightsaber because she spent 2 days chopping up stones. Okay. Rey's parents. Okay. And I'm going to say this in a second, and I'm not mad at that fact, because how I see it playing out is Kylo Ren was lying. I think that her parents are substantial. I think that it was just one of those things that's supposed to leave us in the lurch. It was literally just like, your parents are nobody. Don't you remember, fool? And then, boom, that was it. I think that in episode 9 is going to come back. He's just like, I said that for your protection. And the actual parents are me. I'm both your parents. And metachlorians are what gave birth to Rey. They forged you out of sand and metachlorians. Because Anakin hates sand, so I took what he hated. No, that's stupid. But I think something in episode 9 is going to come from her parents. So, on her parents, I had nothing under there. Because I'm not really concerned with that. I'm okay with that. I really don't care who her parents are. I like a backstory. So I think that's going to come out in episode 9. Moving on. Okay, so I didn't really understand the plan. The main plot of the movie was the rebellion, or whatever. The rebels are being chased. They're out of resources, so they have to go find a way to get onto the leading starship to stop the tracker so they can get the hell out of there. I get it. Okay, so their plan is to jettison to a faraway planet to find a single guy to get him to come back to the ship so that he can code break for 7 seconds, long enough for this ship to get out of there. And like, okay, so they were going to stay on the ship, or in 7 minutes they were going to go from this ship back to this ship in the original plan. Like, I missed the bar and like what was going to pull through. Like, were they, I don't know. That didn't end up happening. I don't want to nitpick these things. There's some things that I understand that have to happen, okay? So they're trying to save the ship. That's their solution. Bingo, got it. So they go to the place to find the master code breaker. First off, I don't think that Poe knows who Maz is, so it's just Finn who somehow know how to find her after we didn't hear very much from her from Force Awakens. Her 1,000-year-old bar is destroyed. We don't see any, they're like, oh, watch her just run away in the distance, or get a radio call at the end of the movie saying, oh, I'll be here. So he somehow contacts her instantly after waking up. No, she knows exactly what needs to happen. All these things fall into place, like, duh. Like, it seems like, oh, duh, go get the crap and come, duh. Like, okay. So they talk to Maz, they get all this info. Then they go to this random spot that this one girl knows about, this ritzy area. Then it becomes an arms race, which I think it was somewhat implied that the bad guys are the majority and the rebellion are rebelling against them. And I guess the whole government dynamic of an arms race and militias and everything. Like, I get how they made it kind of a political thing. Whatever. And then they find the code breaker, but they're taken away from this master code breaker playing craps or whatever. And then they find a secondary code breaker. Now, okay, I get that. Like, this is... So originally I thought that they were going to say that the code breaker in the cell was actually the original code breaker they were intending to find. The other guy was a decoy with that logo. Which, see, it was such a weak story, I thought. It was so many elements to such a weak story. She says, go find the guy with this lapel pin. What? There's no facial scar. There's no mannerism. Find a guy with a lapel pin. What? What if his jacket was off? What if he checked his jacket at the door? Stupid. So they find this guy in the cell, who, and again, this is a super plot point. He's in the shadows. I get that, the dramatic thing, right? How long was he in the cell? Why didn't he let himself out? Instantly after that, he's like, by the way, I do things like that. Dink, and I'm out. Bro, get the hell out of there. When you... What? Why did you wait until 2 people with their own plot? Okay, cool. Say you're a nice guy, and you're just doing your time because you know that you earned it. So you're chilling out in that cell, and then these 2 kids come, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to be a good Samaritan. I'm going to help them out. I'm going to help them escape the planet. Nope, I'm going to defect as soon as we get back to the thing. I'm going to rat them out and have them killed. Ugh. Let me go back to my sheet. Okay. I had a problem too with why they didn't tell Poe the plan. The Resistance is a small group. I think that the quote-unquote greatest pilot in the galaxy, or in the Resistance that Poe is, would have a higher rank where he'd be able to have some intellectual, properties where he would be able to know some of the planning. Like, why was that kept a secret? Why couldn't they just be like, oh, by the way, we're going to sneak onto that planet. We're probably going to need you, our best pilot, to have some kind of help there? I don't know, man. Okay, so we had to devise a plan where he was going to jump across the galaxy just to grab a random guy with a lapel pin and hopefully return. BB-8 on the ATST. Anybody else find that ridiculously jokey? Like, that goes back to, like, Revenge of the Sith, when R2-D2 had, like, the cannon, like the jetpack, and he's floating through the caverns, and then 3PO's got his head bouncing around. It was just kind of like, okay. Like, is that... I didn't like how Poe and Huck's conversation in the very beginning was too much. It was silly. It was good. The whole "can you hear me" thing, that was good. Overkill. Should have happened once. It should have been it. It was too off the bat. Like, come on. There's a dynamic there. This is a huge thing happening. People are dying. There's a lot of stuff going on. Just maybe I'm being cynical. Who knows? Like, they seem like pals. They seem like old bud chums. Like one of those. Like, I guess we're on opposite sides, but if we can't make fun of this, whatever. Side note. One thing that was drug on way too far was a stupid little scene where Chewie's about to eat one of them porgs, and the other porgs are looking at him, and they're all sad. He already cooked and killed it. Let him eat the damn thing. That is me being a little cynical, but okay. And then the scene where, what's her name? Phasma, her and Finn. That standoff was horribly shot. The story there was just, she came out of nowhere, and for some reason there was a vendetta between them. Like, can we have a backstory? Can there be some kind of connection there? Can you be like, oh, aside from what we saw in Force Awakens, she trained him, and she thought he was going to take over her rank someday, and he let him down, and there was that connectivity there. No, she's just like, these guys don't deserve blaster deaths. I want to have them decapitated. Like, okay, that's not a Star Wars thing. That's not a good story thing. That just came out of nowhere. Like, oh, by the way, those people I extra hate because they just showed up out of nowhere. Like, there's no interrogation. There's no... So I said this earlier. Luke in New Hope was he farm boy. Then he became, like, almost comfortable in his skin. Then became, like, a stoic Jedi Master. And then time progressed, and he got all these kids together for the temple, the new temple or whatever, started training them. Then his nephew, he sensed the dark side in, which I'll get back to that in a second. And his nephew, this and this happened. The temple lay down. Luke felt betrayed. He says, I've done so much to hurt so many people. I'm going to exile myself and just die in peace, separated from the Force. That's a good... I get that. I get that you can empathize for Luke. Wow, they should have built it up better. But I ask you this question. In Return of the Jedi, Luke was in front of the Emperor, getting electrocuted, saying, all you have to do is just strike me down, kill Vader, let me have the hate flow through you. And Luke's the whole time is just like, I know Vader's good. I know he's good. You can just kill me right here, because I know Vader's good. Don't worry about me. I'm going to die, because I know Vader's good. I'll bring him back. All this thing is being tortured, right? Finally, he kills the Emperor, and everything's hunky-dory again, right? But then in The Last Jedi, he like made it seem like as soon as Kylo Ren like had a little bit of dark side in him, he's just like, you know what? I'm gonna kill him. Rather than go through all this stuff to snuff out the dark side that we thought was eradicated. Now I'm just gonna execute him right here. No one's gonna ask questions, right? No one's gonna be like, Master, why didn't you put some more effort into bringing him to the light side again? Why'd you just like... And I get that, like, he like made a bad snap judgment and Kylo saw that and freaked out. But that's the best storyline you could go there. Like, there's a huge character arc there that we kind of snapped at. There's some silly things. How did he catch the fish with the giant pole? That seems very impractical way of catching the fish. Like, how are you gonna get it? Nope. Falling off the cliff because you can't hold on because your thing to hold on is a stick that you're... When Luke evaporated, went back to the Force, died, however it's being talked about, I'm not horribly mad at that. I wish Luke wasn't dead, of course, because I thought that he would be great in like 11th hour again in this trilogy at the very end of it. Maybe something more dramatic. Maybe he fought Kylo in person. The Hoth battle redone was an homage to Empire Strikes Back. Cool. Why did the guy have to say that, oh, it's salt? Was that to show us that it's not snow? So we knew the difference? Did they think that they're stupid? Why did he overkill Luke? That was ridiculous. That seemed like... I know that Kylo Ren likes to throw temper tantrums and everything. The audience caught on right away, because Luke had the blue lightsaber that was just destroyed. Why didn't he just, like, appear, poof, to the rebels and be like, I'm a hologram. I'm going to draw his attention away. That's a cave-in, but try to figure out a way. No, he just, like, walked out of nowhere, said, I'm the real Luke. Let me go figure this out. Walks on the battlefield, gets shot at forever. No one catches on. And they're like, oh, wait. You know what? I think he might have been a decoy. Now that we've wasted 48 minutes, that's my favorite number, apparently, let's start walking into the darkness. Like, this is bad. These are bad things. Chewie was in it, but he wasn't very pivotal. R2 was barely in Force Awakens. He was barely in this one. C-3PO was there, but like he wasn't the same character. He seemed a little awkward. Luke's dead. Han's dead. Carrie Fisher's dead, so she can't come back. So it's like Episode 9 will have very small connections to any of the originals. And I think that's what people come back for. Is they want those connections, but... I think that if you've seen the movie once, see it again. I intend to. I saw it once, opening night, 7 o'clock, very first showing, lots of popcorn, like a giddy little schoolboy, dressed in Star Wars clothes, so eager to see the movie. Let down, but I'm going to see it again. I think the first time I got that out of my system, I want to see the movie again, and then I'll come back and let you know what I think. If you've only seen it once, see it again. If you love it, comment and let me know why you love it. If you hate it, let's talk about it. We'll talk about why exactly we hate it. The whole movie, I was disappointed with it because it took me away from the Star Wars thing. I hate that everything in the movie is now canon. I feel very let down because I have to now tell my son that everything's horrible and Star Wars sucks now. Just kidding. I'm let down. I'm hoping watching it again will be good. And if not, well then, you know, we'll move on to the Solo movie, and we'll move on to Episode 9. We'll see. Alright guys, thanks for watching. My thoughts are all scattered. They're all over the place, so if you have more thoughts or more opinions, let me know. Again, don't forget to subscribe, check out my other videos. Me and Milo just did a Star Wars one a couple days ago. That was fun. Let me know your thoughts. Alright guys, later days.